Hi.
We are.
I know. Just came off the Mediterranean cruise. Woohoo! Such an amazing time. I had the smallest, it seemed small, but I was just listening to this lady that just spoke, manifestation. And I was sitting at dinner one night, and I was thinking, they haven't been asking us if we want coffee. I'd like some coffee, I think. And about a second later, the waiter came over and said, "Would you like some coffee?" And I said, "Yes." And then I thought, he went away. I think really what I wanted was cappuccino. So I said, well, I'll let him. Oh, well. So next thing you know, someone sits a cup of cappuccino in front of me. So what I'm saying is, are we headed to the place where we're just desiring and receiving?
Well, you're not headed there, you're already there.
Yeah.
You're already there because what you have asked for is already a vibrational reality. But the gap, how long it takes to close that gap, is a much simpler thing than most people realize. Yeah. Because most people are trying to close that gap through action, where the way you close the gap is by ceasing the resistant engines going the wrong way on your track.
Yeah.
After the Mediterranean cruise in Rome, we were talking to a large group of people who had gathered from 58 countries. And someone raised their hand and lighted up, and we called them forward, and he said, "I have no questions at all. I just wanted to say that I was just sitting here thinking about how much I love my dog. And you called on me." And he was demonstrating to himself and then to others that in that thought that holds no resistance, all that is in his vortex could be answered in a timely way. And so when we say to you that you've asked for so much of it is so ripe and ready for you to receive, and it takes so little for you to be in the receiving mode. But if you're in the struggling mode, you're not in the receiving mode. If you're in the efforting mode, you're not in the receiving mode. If you're angry or frustrated or worried about something, you're not in the receiving mode. So you got to feel light and easy and playful. And so things like that are often conducive to being in vibrational alignment with who you really are. And so once you have an experience like that and you are able to consciously capture for yourself, and by that we mean notice it and then milk it so that you own consciously what it felt like when that happened. In other words, our friend, what was I feeling like as I was walking down that path and my eyes picked a needle out of a haystack? What was I feeling like? How was I feeling? Well, she was high and she was open and she was eager and she was giving, she was flowing, she was explaining, she was in the receiving mode. And when you're in the receiving mode, there are answers to everything that you want all around you. And so we like to tell the story. We know you've heard it so many times. So here's the vortex, ripe with all of the things you want, with your inner being there, and law of attraction having already gathered the cooperative components, which means law of attraction has gathered the cooperative components, the things that are most likely for you to easily rendezvous with. Now, did you hear the way we expressly presented that to you? Because your inner being knows exactly what your path of least resistance is. Your inner being doesn't judge you for resistance that you've got on your path. Your inner being notes the resistance you've got on your path and calls you around it. That's why the impulse to take that walk at that time with that person on that trail and look that way in that light happened. That was timing of extraordinary proportion, you see. many people would say it is inconceivable that that even happened, and yet those things and many more like them are available to you all day, every day when you're in the receiving mode. So we think if we were standing in your physical shoes, the first thing that we'd be doing is figuring out, to me, what does the receiving mode feel like? Sometimes it feels like interest. Sometimes it feels like passion. Sometimes it feels like just a happy heart. Sometimes it feels like love that turns you inside out. In other words, that receiving mode feeling feels a lot of different good feeling ways. But when something happens, when you are able to actually make the correlation between what I was thinking and how I was feeling and what manifested, what just manifested, not what's going to manifest, what did manifest, what just manifested. Once you make the correlation between that and identify and isolate and keep active in yourself as long as you can the feeling of that, now you are becoming a masterful creator. We've been talking, we know you've heard us. Step 1 is contrast helps you to ask and launch the rocket of desire. Step 2 is source answers it, your inner being stands there, and law of attraction has answered it. In other words, everything that you think is future manifestation for you is present tense vibrational reality. It is already done. Step 1, 2. Not anything for you to do about it except live life and experience the wonderful consequences of living life. Step 3 is you got to find a way of feeling about what you're asking for. Not the absence of it, feeling the presence of what you're asking for. And then step 4 is just getting really good at step 3. Step 4 is just mastery of that. And that's what we're talking about here. Milking it. Identifying it. Something happened, and this is how I felt. And then keeping that feeling active within you until you own it in a conscious way. Because when you do that, you accomplish a momentum that is easy for you to achieve again and again and again. And so that's what step 4 is. I can get there easily and I can stay there long.
Mm-hmm. I feel that's happening. I feel
Yes.
like I get there really easily.
Yes.
And I'm having so much fun with it.
Yes.
I had a thought the other day for the first time. I've heard Abraham talk so much about the journey, and it's not about the thing that, you want the things because you think they'll make you feel better. And for the first time, I'm not sure what happened, I actually felt, I think I just want the journey. And it was the first time I ever really felt that. And it was like, now the fun begins with that.
Well, here's what we want to say to you. You are so much further on your way to the full fruition of the things you want than you know, because you've already explored the contrast and you've already put it in the vortex, and source has already been there, and law of attraction has already gathered the cooperative components. So that's so much that you don't now have to do. It's already done. And now law of attraction is gathering more cooperative components, and your vortex is getting ready for you to be ready for it. So much has already been done. And then you just find some reason not to be mad about something. Just stop doing that thing you do that holds your vibration down, and your vibration will go up. You didn't have to do stuff to make it go up. Just stop doing the stuff that causes it to go down. Just stop holding the cork under the water and it will bob back up. So then, as you sort of get the hang of that and get happier and happier, then this wonderful thing begins to happen, because you are the same vibrational place that the things in your vortex are, the same vibrational place where your inner being is. Now, the transfer of thoughts from your inner being to you, just like what's happening right now, we are transferring our thoughts to Esther. And because she's in the vibrational place that we are, she's able to receive those thoughts and translate them into the physical word equivalent. This is a manifestation that is happening, that is just like what happens to you can happen to you all day, every day. So now, as those thoughts begin coming and you are enjoying them, enjoying that journey, you can get into this sweet spot where you look over there and there's a $9,000 diamond. And you look over there and there's someone who's been waiting to talk to you. In other words, timing. Law of attraction is the orchestrator of perfect timing. But you have to be conscious of your vibration in order for you to be inspired to the movement that puts you in the right place at the right time. And you cannot be at the right place at the right time if you're mad at somebody. You can't be at the right place at the right time if you're angry about something. You can't be at the right place at the right time if you are discouraged or depressed. And all of those negative emotions are just the results of you thinking in opposition to the thoughts that your inner being is thinking about the same thing.
Yeah. I think I'm really getting that, and what I'm hoping that you can help me with is to figure out, do I need to start being more specific about a couple of topics that I'm wanting to...
All right, this is an important question. Are you following what she's asking for? So if you're not getting movement on something you want, does that mean that you need to clean up your vibration? Usually. Or does that mean you need to goose up your desire? Rarely. But you're going to like this. Sometimes you can clean up your vibration by thinking about your desire. However, it's tricky, because sometimes when you think about your desire, you work against yourself because it makes you notice that it isn't. So you have to figure that out. You have to figure, if the thoughts about your desire are aggravating to you, stop them. But if the thoughts about your desire are making your juices flow and you're feeling excited about it, then keep it up. And find topics where your juices flow easily. That's the most important thing. So just keep your pocket full of thoughts that easily make you feel good, because this is the most important thing we want to say to you. You do not need to be thinking about the topic of your desire in order to cause the momentum to get going faster. The momentum will naturally increase. So, isn't it interesting? All the books we've written and all the processes that we've offered and all of the thousands of hours that we've been speaking to you about the science of deliberate creation. Every time we offer you a process, it is always about releasing resistance. It's always about clarifying vibration. It's always about getting out of the way of something that already has happened vibrationally that you are now wanting to let happen in terms of seeing it, hearing it, smelling it, tasting it, and touching it. You get that? Don't you ever wonder? We want you to wonder how thoughts turn to things. How does this happen? It's easy in your physical body to look around at the stuff that's already been created, and as a society to squabble over who gets it, sort of slicing up the pie and arguing about who's getting the biggest piece of it. But we want you to think in terms of being your own pie creators. Never mind the pies that people are trying to split up. Create new pies. Your vortex is full of pies. It's time for you to let them into your experience. It's time for you to turn your thoughts to things.
So what you're saying is, I'm waiting to figure out how my...
Our friend turned her thoughts to a $9,000 diamond.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Love it.
what you want to say is, well, not really, Abraham. The diamond already existed, and it was there buried in the leaves. So she didn't really create that diamond. Somebody else created that diamond. Well, there's a whole lot of that going on too, where you are moving about the things. In other words, you are a cooperative group of beings, yes, but she did create that. She created that experience for herself, and there have been a lot of people walking past there. There have been a lot of people who also had the potential of rendezvousing with that, who did not, because they weren't in a vibrational place. Sometimes people say, well, I feel like I have come to the dock and my ship sailed without me. It's a very common way that people shoot themselves in the foot. And we say, there'll be another one and another one and another one and another one and another one. But if you're so pessimistic you don't hang around the dock, then you're not ever going to meet up with the ship that's coming for you. Yesterday, a woman told a story. She wanted to come, and she wanted to book a flight. Could not really figure out how she was going to do it, but a friend figured out how to get her on standby with a particular airline. So she went to the airport and had a really good experience. Right away, she was given a priority pass, so she sailed through the TSA checkpoint. And then the first flight came up and she didn't get on it. And then the second flight came up and she didn't get on it. And she was feeling slightly discouraged for a moment, and then she called her friend and she said, I didn't get on the first flight or the second flight, and her friend is already getting ready to board her flight somewhere, and so she is feeling just a little bit of time crunch about it. And her friend said, well, maybe you could fly to New York and then you could catch a standby, which didn't seem like the path of least resistance. But it caused her to set into motion some thoughts. And then she went to the ticket agent and she said, what do you think about me flying maybe to another city, maybe to New York, and then getting a flight? And the ticket agent said, where is it you want to go? And she said, Chicago.